This video is sponsored by Swagbucks.
The court therefore feels that justice will be satisfied in this case and the objectives of the court of the law be satisfied by following the probation recommendation. I am going to sentence the defendant to 2 years probation.
Eminem is one of the biggest legends in the rap game. He was going platinum, dyeing his hair blonde, and getting addicted to pain pills 10 years before all you mumble rappers made it cool. But there's one thing that Eminem seems to attract like magnets. No, not syphilitic trailer park groupies, I'm talking about lawsuits, baby. Whether it's getting sued by his mother for $10 million, getting sued by some French pianist over the beat for Kill You, or the $1 billion class action lawsuit for consumers that lost their hearing after listening to his dreadful Revival album. Ugh. But getting sued in civil court for an 8-figure sum by a delusional money grabber is as American as apple pie, baseball, or taking a Draco to second semester to show that gym teacher who's boss. Hell, if you're not currently getting sued for $10 million, you can hardly call yourself successful, can you? But the true marker of a successful rap star is catching a criminal case. And within a week of the release of the legendary Marshall Mathers LP, Eminem caught numerous cases after dishing out more dirty whips than a second-hand Ford dealer on 8 Mile Road.
But first, a word from our sponsor.
I love Chris Rich.
Shout out to their sponsor Swagbucks. Swag. Best way to make money on the side by doing surveys, watching videos and playing games, you get me? Yeah. Shout out to Swagbucks one time. Look, Swagbucks. Today's sponsor is Swagbucks. If you want to make cash, try Swagbucks. You want gift cards, try Swagbucks. Swagbucks. Today's sponsor is Swagbucks. Make money from home, try Swagbucks. Surveys, playing games, yeah, Swagbucks. Wish I knew about Swagbucks when I was tracking. I used to have no money till Swagbucks was cracking. Link in my description gets you $5 free. If you support Swagbucks, then you're supporting me. It's easy doing surveys and playing games. You can earn cash gift cards to your favorite place. I've been getting hella gift cards from hella places. Amazon, Walmart, Old Navy, even Macy's. Yeah, Swagbucks. Today's sponsor is Swagbucks. If you want to make cash, try Swagbucks. You want gift cards, try Swagbucks. Swagbucks. Today's sponsor is Swagbucks. Make money from home, try Swagbucks. Surveys, playing games, yeah, Swagbucks. You get me, it's a Swagbucks ting. All day, Swagbucks all day. I use Swagbucks, why don't you? What, you not on Swagbucks? Oh, I don't really want to chat if you're not on Swagbucks, bro, you get me? Woo! Yeah, baby, back to the video. Now, Eminem's whipping spree went down in June of the year 2000, only a week after the Marshall Mathers LP dropped, selling 1.78 million units. And what better way to celebrate your superstar success than lurking outside a dive bar in Detroit spying on your cheating wife? Let me explain. If you followed Eminem's career closely or listened to a lot of his music, you'll know about his turbulent relationship to childhood sweetheart Kim. The two shacked up together as teenagers and had a troubled relationship over the years that followed. They had their daughter Haley in 1995 and got married in 1999. But in the midst of Eminem's newfound stardom, there was trouble in Trailer Park Paradise. Kim has said on occasion that Eminem's fame went to his head, and supposedly, groupies weren't uncommon in his entourage. Meanwhile, Eminem had been suspicious that Kim had been cheating on him with another man whilst they were married. Late one night, Eminem had gone to his friend Gary's house in Detroit, upset that he believed Kim was out with another man that she'd been seeing behind Eminem's back. So Gary drove Eminem to the bar where they sat outside. That club was the Hot Rock Cafe, which to me sounds like a counterfeit hard rock cafe for people that like smoking hash in hole-filled tracksuits. A man named John Guerrera, who was once a bouncer at that nightclub, was the man who Eminem had suspected of being with Kim that night. That's John Guerrera, no relation to Big Booty Vixen Vida Guerrera, iPhone stealer John Gabbana, or original merch mogul Che Guevara. Apparently, John Guerrera was part of a group of around 3 or 4 people that Kim Mathers had been partying with that night at the Hot Rock Cafe. Kim says that she was outside the club hugging and kissing her friends goodbye, and it was whilst waiting outside in that parked car that Eminem witnessed Kim kissing Guerrera and approached them with an unloaded gun. Guerrera later said through his attorney that apparently that gesture was much more of a friendly kiss of goodbye than jumping in the back of a car and making out. But years later, in a Sky One interview, he seemed to sing a little bit of a different tune.
I was kissing his wife, you know, and I won't apologize for that, ever. You know, why should I? I'm not the one that had pursued her that night, you know. She came to me. If you can't control your wife and keep her happy at home, then don't come to me crying because she did.
So as Kim and Guerrero were embracing, Eminem approached and somebody shouted, "Gun, gun, gun." Unfortunately, Guerrero didn't have time to run, and he would soon be crying for his mum. Guerrero said that he initially didn't recognize Eminem, who was approaching with the unloaded gun held to one side.
I couldn't believe it. Now I'm in awe because I just seen his face. That is when I realized who it was. That's when I was like, holy shit, that's Eminem. This guy just pulled a gun out on me.
And to be fair, everyone looks a bit different with a pistol in their hand. See how much more attractive and powerful I seem here? Guerrero claims Eminem pointed the gun only a few inches from his face.
The guy came around from the front of the van, came over Kim's shoulder with a gun, you know, not even in front of me, and put it right in my face, you know, and I mean, just point blank, and that's when I grabbed it.
He said that this moment truly felt like a living nightmare and that Eminem might kill him in a blind rage.
And they were sitting there and he's trying to pull it and it's telling me, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you. And I'm like, I don't even know you, what the hell are you doing? That's when I spun him around and slammed him on the hood of the car.
A struggle ensued and Guerrero was struck several times in the head and face.
I mean, he just started pounding me he hit me here first, and he kept hitting me back here because I brought my head down to his chest, and then I came up on my head. And I'm slamming the arm out, and that's when he let go of the gun. And by the time he let go of the gun, I let up on his face.
Now, Guerrero claimed that he was pistol whipped, but Eminem did deny this in court, saying that he had only hit him with a fist. Fistal whipped, if you will.
Pistol whip?
Ooh. Pistol whip.
This was referenced in the song Sing for the Moment, where Eminem said Guerrero was full of shit and that it was a fist that hit him, not a pistol. Eminem later recreated the moments leading up to this incident on a skit called The Kiss on The Eminem Show, where he reiterated that the gun wasn't loaded. But then again, on that same album on the track Soldier, Eminem says that he's pistol whipping bouncers 6'2", so who knows. Anywho, a scuffle ensued and Eminem was tackled by onlookers, dropping the gun, which was then picked up by his friend Gary. At this point, Guerrero fled the scene and the popo arrived. Gary showed the officers the gun, but Eminem fessed up to it being his, cause he a real one. They were both arrested on the spot, and Eminem said in the book Whatever You Say I Am, that with this arrest going down at the height of his fame, he was in police booking getting asked for autographs left, right and center. He said at the time he felt like his life was a slim shady shambles, and to be honest, it kinda was. And from there, things would only go from bad to worse for Slim Shady.
I'm gonna record some ambience and put it in this track.
Eminem's pistol whippy, John Guerrero, pressed charges for assault with a deadly weapon. And Eminem had to appear in court looking very humbled, in an outfit that was a lot more job interview than chainsaw and dungarees. I mean, just look at these little glasses, looking like Marshall Potter up in this bitch. A dude should have just pulled out a wand in the parking lot and hit John Guerrero with a little Expelliarmus. M's strategy for getting out of this jam was stressing to the court that the gun was not loaded. I mean, I personally don't see the point of pulling an unloaded gun. That's what you call pulling up with the flaccid dicks, trying to get charged with assault with a deadly paperweight. But this strategy seemed to work. So on February the 14th, weirdly Valentine's Day, Eminem pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of possession of a concealed weapon as opposed to the more serious assault with a deadly weapon charge. And in the end, that only landed him 2 years probation and no jail time.
The court therefore feels that justice will be satisfied in this case and the objectives of the court of the law be satisfied by following the probation recommendation. I am going to sentence the defendant to 2 years probation.
That's got to be the best Valentine's Day conviction I've seen since my ex-girlfriend bought me a chocolate Rambo knife that landed me in jail for 9 months with possession of a delicious blade in public. And he was also ordered to undergo counseling and drug testing. Apparently the judge said that he'd have to refrain from alcohol and controlled substances unless prescribed by a doctor. Now that's what I call a loophole, baby, yeah! He was ordered to have no contact with Guerrero, fined $2,500, forced to pay $5,000 in court costs, $60 to the local crime victims fund, and pay $30 a month supervision fees over the course of his probation. Wow, $60 for the local crime fund. That's enough to order them 3 large pizzas, definitely enough to get over a serious assault. However, never one to miss out on an opportunity to get a little clout payment, John Guerrero filed a civil lawsuit against Eminem. This accused Eminem of assault and intentional infliction of emotional distress, saying that he'd had a hard time sleeping since the incident, which is different from the unintentional emotional distress caused by being let down by Eminem's dismal Revival album. And Eminem ended up paying $100,000 in an out-of-court settlement to Guerrero. Damn, paying $100 grand to whip somebody just after watching them kiss your wife is some high-level cuckery indeed. But neither Guerrero or Eminem admitted liability as part of the settlement. And to be fair, Eminem seemed pretty satisfied with the outcome of all of this and seemed very eager to move past this entire incident.
Just glad to get this over with. I'm glad to put it behind me and get back to spending time with my little girl, making music. That's all I'm doing.
But interestingly, Eminem's legal troubles weren't quite over yet, because even though he'd settled his cases over the Guerrero incident, he was still on the hook for another pistol-related mishap that had happened just one day before this. Well, call him the original Mr. Whippy, because only one day before the John Guerrero incident, Eminem pulled a piece on an affiliate of the Insane Clown Posse, Douglas Dale. Douglas Dale is actually the brother of William Dale, a road manager for the Insane Clown Posse, who interestingly was later charged with assaulting an Eminem fan at a concert. So in case you didn't know, the Insane Clown Posse had a long-running feud with Eminem. It had been rumoured that this beef dated all the way back to 1997, before Eminem blew up. Story goes, Eminem was handing out flyers for a concert that he was playing to launch his new Slim Shady EP, which said appearance from Insane Clown Posse, maybe. And after being given one of these flyers, Insane Clown Violent J wasn't feeling Eminem's presumptuous flyer printing and duly told him to f*** off. Not sure I need to tell you that he didn't end up playing that night.
So how you gonna put ICP on this fucking flyer when, you know what I'm saying, when you don't even know if we're gonna be there, and then put maybe like that. And then he said, well, I'm asking you now, you know what I'm saying, you wanna come show up? And I was like, hell no, man.
I mean, come on, Eminem, did you really think a trick like that would work? What do you take them for, a bunch of clowns? From here, Eminem started dissing Insane Clown Posse on songs and in interviews.
And then that Basement tape came out, fuck ICP, buy my CD. And we were like, man, that's bullshit. We still didn't think nothing of it. And then an interview in the Detroit Free Press came out. And somebody said, what do you think ICP? You know, they said, because he was just coming out, and they were like, what do you think of ICP? What do you think of Esham? You know, and he said, I think that ICP isn't real. They're a mockery. They're not the, you know what I mean? They're not even rap.
And to make matters worse, supposedly D12 actually chased members of the Insane Clown Posse out of a nightclub and ended up shooting at their van with a paintball gun. Which is pretty brave considering the fact that no less than 100 clowns are in that van at any one time. Though the Insane Clown Posse denied that this ever happened, the beef was very real, and ICP came through with their own very mature diss tracks, Slim Anus and Nothing But a Bitch Thang. For years, this beef raged on, including some pretty saucy scenes on the Up in Smoke tour, where Eminem clowned on ICP by violating a couple of clown dolls that I assume he brought from his own private collection.
We got the Insane Clown Pussies here tonight for the very first time ever making their debut in a stadium this big.
So only the day before the John Guerrero incident happened, Eminem spotted Douglas Dale wearing a Psychopathic Records jacket in the parking lot of a car audio store in Royal Oak, Michigan. Funny, usually when somebody runs up on a clown in a parking lot, it's because they owe the Springfield Mafia money.
These are speed holes, they make the car go faster.
Oh yeah, speed holes.
But story goes, Dale said something insulting to Eminem. Eminem said, "What did you say to me?" pulled the strap from his car and made a threat to Dale.
He pulled a fucking empty pistol on one of our boys.
Wait, Eminem pulled an empty pistol
on one of our boys.
Really?
Yeah.
Now apparently throughout the altercation the gun was only pointed at the ground and not loaded. I mean seriously, this guy just sold 1.76 copies of his album. Can he not afford bullets? This ain't London, homie. Anywho, even though it happened a day before, Eminem wound up in court on this charge after the John Guerrero incident. And whilst Douglas Dale didn't want to contribute to the case, there seemed to be enough evidence to bring Eminem to trial. M was denied the chance to make a plea deal in December 2000, and Eminem later pled no contest to the charge of carrying a concealed weapon and brandishing a firearm in public. That concealed weapon is a felony charge that carries a maximum of 5 years in prison.
Do you understand, sir, that you are charged with count 1, carrying a concealed weapon? That's a felony. It carries a maximum penalty of 5 years in state prison, a minimum of 0 days in jail.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that you are also charged in pleading no contest to count 2, firearms, weapons, brandishing in public? That's a misdemeanor, carrying a maximum penalty of 90 days with a minimum of 0 days in jail.
Whereas the brandishing charge is only a 90-day misdemeanor. And that is why you should always tote a strap, never brandish it. And I'm also surprised that he didn't have to cop a plea for carrying that concealed handkerchief in court. The prosecution in this case actually tried for a 4 to 6 month spell in jail. But luckily, Teflon Shady only ended up getting 2 years probation for this, which was allowed to run concurrently to the 2 years probation he'd got in the Guerrero case. So basically nothing. But the clout-chasing judge couldn't help but make this thing all about her. In court, she held up a stack of letters saying that this was how many people had suggested that they'd wash his mouth out with soap or force him to write a clean song as punishment. Yeah, not sure that's how courts are supposed to work. Yes, and your sentence for this serious weapons-based assault charge is a good smack on the bottom and 2 years of passive-aggressive comments. She also flipped a line on young Slim Shady after handing out the sentence, saying that it was his time to stand up. Get it? Because he's the real Slim Shady to stand up. I'd stick to judging, actually. I don't think that stand-up comedy career is going to pan out for you, really. So once that was all resolved, Eminem was finally able to move on and get back to his career in peace. And Eminem and D12's camp did eventually end up squashing the beef with the Insane Clown Posse, after encouragement from D12's own proof before his passing led to the two crews patterning things up and eventually going bowling together.
Came to our office. We had a group on a label at the time. He did a song with them. You know what I'm saying? Gave ICP a shout out in the verse. And man, it was like, I can't even tell you like what that meant to us. And we didn't need to know if Eminem himself knew about it. None of that mattered to us because proof, that meant enough to us.
Yeah, it was his best friend.
And so that's the story of Eminem's softball probation charge after getting all pistol happy in the year 2000. And to be fair, it looked like the justice system worked. Eminem didn't reoffend, and nowadays, if he wants to inflict grievous bodily harm, all he has to do is play his Revival album. Oh, get that off the screen, I'm gonna be sick. Hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure that you like and subscribe down below. Leave me a comment, let me know what you thought was the best bit, let me know what you thought was the worst bit, and just generally do your thing. If you want to support the channel even more, head on over to traplaw.com, where you can go and cop some of my amazing Trap Law clothing line, which is available for you right now. All of the designs which I make myself. I would really appreciate you checking that out. Thank you very much, and until next time, peace.